GOP pollster, Richard Socarides, a Democratic consultant and former advisor to President Clinton. Great to have both of you here.
Good morning.
You know, an interesting caveat in this finding in this poll also is there was a pretty large jump in voter enthusiasm since the health care bill passed. And I'm curious as to how you think health care has affected these numbers. And Adam, we'll start with you.
Well, I think that the health care legislation has absolutely affected these numbers. Republicans are, by an average of 20 percentage points, more likely than Democrats to say that they're going to vote in November. So the enthusiasm gap is a major, major part of this, Juliet.
Richard, what do you think? Is health care hurting the Democrats?
I don't think it's hurting, and I think we don't really know what effect it's going to have because, as you say, the actual election is an eternity away. 7 months is a lifetime in politics. And I think the enthusiasm gap that you referred to is shrinking. I mean, in fact, the good news for the Democrats in this latest Gallup poll is that there's more enthusiasm than there was on the part of the Democrats. More Democrats are going to go to the polls. But I think I would say overall that, 7 months away, the Democrats in the last two elections really reached a high water mark in terms of offices held. We know these midterms are always tough for the party in power, but don't count Obama and the Democrats out. We know what a great campaigner the president is. They're going to now focus, the president and the Democrats in Congress are going to focus on financial regulatory reform, which is much more popular with some of the voters in the middle. So I think that we've got a lot of time to turn this around.
Adam, I've got to ask you, Richard just talked about the president going out and campaigning. He's been to a couple stops recently, again, still 7 months out, but he hasn't been in campaign mode for some of the local Democrats. What's that saying to you? Well,
what it's saying to me is that they're taking a lesson that they learned in New Jersey and Virginia last year, which is in a non-presidential year, President Obama he can muster up enthusiasm. He can't muster those folks out to go to the polls. There's one more point I want to make about the Gallup survey. Among independent voters, the generic ballot right now, you ready for this? 47% Republican, 29% Democrat. I'm sorry, 47-39. So it's an amazing lead right now among Republicans, among the independents.
Richard, when does the president start to get active in the campaigning? And do you agree with Adam that maybe they are backing off a little bit from him?
Well, they're going to be very strategic about it, as they should and as presidents always are in midterm and off-year elections. I mean, he's going to go where he can be helpful, and he's going to stay away where he's not going to be helpful. And those are going to be very specifically about which states and what's happening in very particular races. But there are many more places he can be helpful than he's going to be not helpful, and he'll campaign hard. I mean, 7 months to go. Don't count Barack Obama and the Democrats out. And if the Democrats get lucky, the Republicans will continue to entertain their contributors at these lesbian bondage clubs, and we might actually pick up some Democratic seats in Congress.
Adam, would you like to respond to that?
Well, I will say that it sounds like Richard may be talking about the Democrats' base, but I will say this: Barack Obama's approval rating is below 50%. And that can spell a lot of trouble in the fall. If that approval rating stays under 50, you could be looking at a lot of Republican House seat gains.
Adam, he's a very charismatic man. He's got the star power. He also is, can fundraise with the best of them. You don't think this is going to be an issue for the Republicans?
It's a midterm election. Presidential year voters are presidential year voters. A lot of those folks are just not going to come out. And again, we've seen that in the past. We've seen it in the special elections. We've seen it in Massachusetts as well. In a midterm election, the midterm election voters are going to come out, and we're looking at Republican gains.
Listen, let's just remember also that even if the Republicans pick up 20 or 25 or even 30 seats in the House, and if they pick up 5 or even 6 seats in the Senate, which I think would be big numbers for them, the Democrats will still have a very comfortable governing majority. And I think that President Obama will be able to go forward into his re-election in 2010 with those comfortable majorities and being able to work on jobs. And as we make progress on the jobs report, as we make progress on Wall Street and financial regulatory reform, the numbers for the Democrats will get much better.
7 months out, but time flies very, very quickly when you're having fun. Richard, Adam, thanks for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam.
There's breaking news on the economy, breaking news on jobs. Have we turned